Welcome to the Fill Your Cups podcast. We're your hosts, Morgan
and Bailey.
Okay, well, good morning, Morgan. What's filling your cup today?
Today I have just a homemade latte. I guess not really a latte. It's more like a cup of black coffee, splash of almond milk, and 2 stevia packets.
Delicious. I'm drinking the exact same thing, but 3 stevia packets.
And iced.
And ice, yeah, very true. I didn't even realize this was hot.
Yeah.
Aww.
I'm more of a hot coffee girl. I'm still,
Opposite.
I know. I feel like iced coffee is the thing these days. And I like it only really if I'm sitting outside in the summer.
That makes sense.
That's the only time. But if I run really cold, you know that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just always love a hot
I just
cup of coffee.
can't drink hot coffee because it's so hot the whole time.
No.
It's so hot the whole time unless you put it in the fridge or something like that. But when I get a hot coffee, I want to drink my coffee, and I can't because it burns my mouth.
Do you remember growing up? Maybe not, but Mom would definitely know this. But I would always make, when I heated up soup or something like that, or hot chocolate, I had to have it scalding hot.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I feel like I actually remember making a boiling pot of water or whatever for hot chocolate one time, and you were like, "Oh, you
probably
burned my tongue."
Probably, I always had to have ice in my hot chocolate, and I'm not kidding. Mom would put ice in there so it would cool down for me. It was so hot, it burned your mouth. I don't get it.
She's got you, and then meanwhile she's making a boiling pot of water for me. That is so funny.
2 totally different kids.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm definitely a hot coffee girl.
Definitely.
So that's what's in my cup today. Also filling our cups,
Yes.
a little shout out. So something that filled my cup last week was my girlfriend McKenna. We were hanging out, and not only did she told me, she said something in person to me that was a reference to our most recent episode, and I was like, oh, you're listening.
Didn't it
Thank
come out
you.
that day?
It wasn't
a couple
the
days
same
later,
day,
maybe?
but she told me in person a couple things that she got from it. And then the next Monday, she texted me it personally and told me what she got from that episode. And then she also just is really engaged on her Instagram. I feel like she always answers the little questions that we put there,
Always.
the polls and stuff. So shout out to McKenna.
Shout out McKenna. Thank you
Yeah.
for supporting and being such a great follower and friend.
Yes.
Well, today's episode is a little bit different. We're kind of doing a little interview style because we are talking about how to build a morning routine. Now, I am not a morning routine person. I would self-identify as a night owl.
Yeah.
And I would self-identify Morgan as a morning bird. I don't think she says that about herself, but I call her that. And so today we're going to just kind of be talking about the importance of a morning routine and how you really got into it. So I am really interested in that.
Yeah.
And I guess seeing how it kind of all happened for you.
Yeah. I do want to preface with, I, for the longest time, did not call myself a morning person. Even when I would say only in the last maybe 6 to 9 months have I really been I guess I am a morning person.
Yeah, it's like that identity thing we were talking about.
It exactly is that, because growing up, if I could sleep in, I did.
Yeah.
And not just sleep in till for an hour, sleep in till noon, 1, really late.
Our house was a house of sleepers.
For sure.
We would sleep till well into the afternoon, I feel like.
For sure. And I have a heart defect. I don't think I've talked about that, but I was born with a hole in my heart is that's the colloquial term. I don't know the medical term. But they said that I run more tired than other people. So I definitely, if I have no alarms or anything like that, I can sleep for sure. So and waking up in the morning, my first instinct is not that I want to do anything.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, I was I'm really not a morning person because I don't like waking up in the morning, and I don't like, it's not instinctual for me.
Yeah.
It's not, but after having so many years of building habits in the morning, I'm I guess you could call me a morning person because I am very consistent with waking up pretty early. I have a whole morning routine, which it didn't start with that, but it's now a 2.5 hour whole thing.
I know. And you love them. You do them every morning.
Yes. And if I don't have it, don't have as good of a day.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
definitely. Well, I'm super excited to talk about all this. I feel like our first couple habit episodes that I got a lot of good feedback from people about how like they were making small changes here and they were like more conscious of what their habits were and things like that. And I know that when I first started listening to like some podcasts and really started first getting into habits, that I created so many routines, and morning routines was just not something that I could get around to almost.
Yeah.
It was like I just can't do it yet. So hopefully, like, I'm really excited to hear what you do, and it'll inspire me. So maybe it'll inspire some other people and kind of say that you don't have to wake up in the morning like with that, like, I'm walking on sunshine. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like when I think of morning people, I think of them waking
You're like,
up
they
with,
just wake up and they're just like, oh, it's a new day.
Yeah, open the blinds.
The sun is shining. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Disney princess kind of vibes.
Exactly. Well, are you ready to get interviewed?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I guess let's start off with what made you develop a morning routine. What was the flip that you were like, I need to start doing things in the morning?
Yeah, so honestly, I think it started pretty much with the physical for me. It's kind of, I mean, sometimes it feels like a little weird to say that, but I think that physical health or even just feeling better in your skin, I feel like that's a very aspirational reason to start any new routine or habit. But I will say, when I kind of started to get into health and wellness and that sort of thing, it was after Jared and I moved to Kansas City. When we got to Kansas City, we had big boy jobs. Like, we were both making better money than we ever were. I swear, I do our taxes, and I swear the year before we were making like $30,000 total together in Columbia, and I was like, how did we live? That's literally like poverty level.
Yeah.
But then when we came to Kansas City, we were making better money because we had our full-time jobs, and we were in a really nice apartment that we loved, and just I was still struggling. I've always struggled with body image issues and just feeling like not comfy in my skin.
Yeah.
And I was feeling that way, like feeling like a lot of things were going really well in my life, but that was something that was like so core to my, I guess, identity, just like feeling like I wasn't as comfy in my skin as I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so after, I would say it was like maybe 9 months after moving downtown and whatever, I had seen a friend post about, at the time it was Beachbody, but now it's called Body, but she was having some really great success. And the funny thing is, I had done Beachbody before, like different workouts or whatever, but what I hadn't done was like the nutrition portion or the accountability portion. So it didn't really, like, I didn't have any results. I did like 30 days or something. And to be honest, I split it with a friend. And so so the cost to me was like nothing. So I had hardly any buy-in, whatever. So when my friend the person on social media like posted these things, and I know her really well and trusted her, I messaged her and I was kind of like, what are you doing? And we kind of talked, and she got me plugged into the accountability group after I had a much bigger buy-in. I think it was like $130 or something like that. But
you were ready at this point. You were like,
I was a lot more ready. Yeah. And so after that, really, that was the beginning of starting any sort of morning routine for me, was starting with the workouts that came with this program and checking in with the accountability group with my sweaty selfie right after I did the workouts.
Oh, so for you added the workouts into the morning. Why didn't you like add them at the evening or anything like that? Why was it that it went to the mornings for you?
Two things come to mind. One is, so we would do like sweaty selfies in the morning. That post, there were 2 posts every day in our accountability group, and in the mornings at like 5 a.m. or something like that, a post would go up that was like, post your sweaty selfie. And then in the evenings there would be a post that went up, and it was like a nightly check-in, and there were different categories like steps, water,
like how you did nutrition for each of those goals.
And so I think that was part of it. And then I guess the other thing was just that when I had done it before, I was trying to do workouts like after work.
Yeah.
And I just was like, well, that didn't work then, so let's just see. Let's just
Change
try
it
it out.
up.
And the fact that I could do them at home, I was like, 30 minutes in the morning in my living room feels a lot more attainable than like going to the gym in the morning and then also having to shower and change your clothes and all that before work.
Yeah.
So I guess that was why. I can't remember. I think it was just
Yeah.
like I had tried other things that didn't work. So it was like, let's try this.
Yeah, you had a bigger buy-in this time. You're like, okay, I should be a little bit more serious about this maybe. And so you change it up. I really like that. So what was the hardest part about kind of getting your morning routine down for you? Because you make it sound so easy, like just get up, accountability, like you just go on with your day. But what was the hardest part that was, hard to get down?
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't think any change is easy. And I think especially if you're kind of stuck in the same patterns, it's really hard to get out of those. But I do think that probably the hardest part was just forming the habit, like being consistent with it, because every time that I kept the promise to myself that I was going to get up and work out, that improved the likelihood that I would get up and work out the next day too. And so I think it's the same thing where like if you skip, then you're telling yourself that you're not someone who sticks to the promise of working out in the morning or whatever it is that you want to do in the mornings. So I think that was part of it. I think that the accountability group really helped me. But yeah, I think the hardest part is just like, honestly, making any sort of change. I will say, since I started with like the 25, 30-minute workouts, probably the hardest thing was just the time.
Like time management?
Yeah, well... Yeah, or just sacrificing 30 more minutes of sleep for 30 minutes of activity.
Yep. I'm a girl who will literally sacrifice 5 minutes of sleep. I'm like, I might be running late, but I need the 5 more minutes. Like, no, 5 more minutes are not going to do anything for you. But it is so hard not to snooze and not to tell yourself that. So that's really awesome. So it sounds like you had a lot of accountability with you throughout this kind of process. So you had your accountability group. Was there any other kind of support system that you had during that time, or any other support systems that you made during that time?
Well, the person that I reached out to was technically like my coach. So any questions that I had, I would ask her. But at the time, that group was really thriving, and it was really a big amount or a lot of people, so that was really my main source of accountability. I will say once I started being like, I've had a lot of success with this, I feel bad not sharing this, and once I started sharing it and other people started kind of like joining me and me being their coach, that was almost the next level of accountability because once you're responsible for someone else too, it makes you more likely to show up for yourself. So that, and then I guess the highest form of accountability is at some point I started posting on social media.
Yeah, true.
Because then everybody's like, how'd it go? Or like, you just kind of have, for some people it probably wouldn't work, but in my mindset, I'm like, oh my God, if I said that I did that, even if only, let's say like 2 people saw it or something, if I said that I was going to do that, then they're going to know if I don't.
Yeah, I should do that.
Yeah, I need to actually follow through.
Absolutely. So last question, and then we'll kind of dive into your actual morning routine. But how long do you feel like it took for you for it to become like, instead of, oh, I have to get up and do this task, how long do you feel like it went from that until it became just your routine, just the habit?
It's kind of a hard question because it still is a task for me. It does
not just natural.
I mean, it is natural to some extent, kind of like loading the dishwasher or something. Like, it's still a task, but you've done it so many times that where you put the plates is natural, where you put the cups are natural, that sort of thing. Just kind of any task like that.
Yeah, I guess it needs to be done. You wouldn't be happy later if it wasn't done.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't say that I roll out of bed and I'm a Disney princess these
You're not
days.
singing Walking on Sunshine?
unless you're thinking of like Anna in Frozen when she wakes up. That's more accurate for the Disney princess I'd be. But I'm not like singing with the birds in the morning and whatnot. I just think that, if you're asking how long it took to become a habit, I think that one of the biggest things that encouraged me to keep doing it was I actually took like photos at the beginning before I ever did a single workout or tried the meal plan or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And after my first like 21 days of doing, it was a 21-day program. So after my first 21 days, I think it was actually like 27 days for me because I didn't do it over the weekends.
Yeah.
But after that first program, I took pictures, and it's so funny because I think I lost like 3 pounds, which is like nothing. Mm-hmm. But in the pictures, I could just tell, like you could see a lot of change.
Yeah.
And I would share these with anybody.
People say that, right? Like it might not change on the scale, but your measurements change, or
definitely. And I could just see it, especially in my belly. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I wasn't as bloated, and I wasn't, and then so that really, like that was, maybe each day I was dropping a little drop in my confidence bucket, but then that was like a huge pour into my confidence bucket. I was like, whoa, this is actually working.
Yeah.
But the thing that is crazy is if I had been measuring my success the same way that I had previously and looking at the scale and just being like, I put in so much hard work, I only lost 3 pounds. Then I probably would have stopped. Like I probably wouldn't have kept going.
Yeah.
So I think that I would say that after like the first 21 days, that was kind of when I was like, I'm staying with this.
Wow, that's really cool. And you have stayed with it because, it's been several years since you lived in that apartment. How long has it been? Like 7?
So that was March of 2019 that I started.
So like 5 years?
Yeah,
that's crazy. And I feel like literally since then you've had such a morning routine. Like
definitely.
Like I'll stay the night on the weekend or something like that, and I will sleep until 11, 12, and you're like up at 7. And you're like, oh yeah, I've already done 8 things. But
okay, that's an exaggeration on the weekends. But yes, it really does make a difference. And I just think that I'm like a nicer person, and I'm happier, and I just have a better mindset when I do that. So
yeah,
I want to say also, because I forgot this when you were asking me why a morning routine was important to me, but the health aspect, we've also had a lot of, I would say, health incidents in the last like few years, and also COVID and whatnot. But I think that even though first it probably started as like kind of a vain thing for me of just wanting to shed some weight and feel comfy,
look better,
yeah. At the time, more than one of like our grandma was kind of having a hard time in her health.
Yep.
Jared's grandma had fallen and had an issue in her health.
Goodness.
And then Jared's mom had a hip issue and had fallen. And so there were just a lot of things that were honestly, like once I got into it, I was like, I need to keep doing this because I want to be healthy and energetic and really able to be who I am still when I'm like 60, 70, 80.
Yeah.
And that's only become more and more prevalent to me in the last few years.
Yeah, you've really taken an interest in the health side of it. And I love that you have, because you have taught me so many things. Like, I feel like there was a little while where I was starting to change up my diet and the way I was eating. And I was like, okay, Morgan, what do I need to make sure that I'm like keeping in here? And what does this do for me? And I love that you're a free resource for me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you have knowledge.
Yeah, sometimes I'm wrong, but I am always interested in learning and finding the answer.
Yeah. And you'll tell me that too. You'll be like, I don't really actually know what this does for you, but
I'm gonna find out
for it. Yeah. And I'm like, great, thanks. Okay, well, I love all those answers. I'd love to really just get into your actual morning routines now. So kind of take us through
absolutely
like your steps in the morning.
Absolutely. So I will say that it kind of changes with my season of life. So everything, it's not always the same. And when I was thinking about us doing this episode and like telling other people how they can develop their morning routines, I realized that I think that I kind of have like my full, 2.5 hour morning routine. That's kind of my ideal in the morning and especially on the weekdays. But then I also have almost like a separate weekend morning routine, and then I have almost like a bare minimum morning routine.
Yeah.
Like on a day, for instance, if I have to leave for work at a ridiculously early time or earlier than normal, and I'm not going to wake up at 4 a.m. to get my morning routine in, then I have kind of my non-negotiables. So
yes, I would love to find out what those are.
Yeah. So full morning routine, if I like my ideal is I usually get up, I pee, I weigh myself, fill up my water bottle, feed the dog, and then I go to right now we have a workout room, and in the past, like in apartments, it was just like the living room or whatever.
Yeah.
And I go to our workout room, and then I sit down, and I always have some form of personal development. So at some points in time, it's been like a devotional. At some points in time, it's just been like a self-help book. Right now, I'm reading Die with Zero. It's more of like a financial thing. But in the past, I've done like Atomic Habits or Everything is Figure Outable. You're a Badass. I like highly recommend any of those. And I have a whole list of ones that I've read, so I could definitely share those. But yeah, so I do some form of personal development, usually just like 10, 15 minutes of reading. And in the past, like if I've done like a devotional, or sometimes my workout programs come with like a journal, that'll be my personal development. And along with the personal development, I usually have some form of gratitude. We talked about this on another episode. So whether that's like writing down 3 things I'm thankful for, or a page of things that I'm thankful for, right now that's what I've been doing, or even just having like a list on my phone or something. I personally try not to like look at my phone screen very much in the morning.
Yeah.
Because technically, like, the first light that you're supposed to have on your retinas is sunlight. But it's really hard to do, especially if it's, like, the winter. And
of course.
And you wake up at, like me, at, like, 5:30, and it's really dark out for a long time.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so a little bit of personal development and gratitude. That takes about 15 minutes. And then I do a 30-minute workout usually. Sometimes it's a little less. Like I've done programs where they're 20, 25 minutes. Sometimes it's a little more, like 45 minutes. Do that.
And for your workout program, you usually have it's like what do you call them? Like a 21-day challenge kind of a thing. And so, like, you don't have to randomly just decide what you're going to do that day, typically.
No, that has never, again, that's something that never worked for me in the past, was like, I would spend 30 minutes looking on YouTube for a 30-minute HIIT workout or something, and it would take me so long to finally pick one that I was like, well, now I don't even have time to work out.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's something I really like about Body, is they have fixed time programs. So yeah, usually they're like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Some of them are as long as like 8 weeks.
Program. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't think of the word.
Yeah, I actually just finished a 100-day one, which it was my second time doing that one. But yeah, so it just depends on, there's a whole bunch. Like that one was called Morning Meltdown 100.
Nice.
Or whatever. But most of those workouts are like 25 minutes. Whereas right now I'm doing like a 3-week program that's called an Iron Block or whatever, and it's more weightlifting, and most of those are like 40, 45 minutes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, so then I work out, and then after, this is such a goofy part of my routine that has developed. Afterward, I just got done telling you that Eddard doesn't sleep with us. Our dog doesn't sleep with us.
Yeah.
So
out of his own choice, not because they don't let him.
Oh, yeah. So afterward, well, this will make it clear that that's the reason. I go to the bedroom, and at that point, I always hear Eddard get up, like shake off, and he comes back to the bedroom, and Jared's still in bed, and we all snuggle for like 15 minutes.
Cute.
He comes up onto the bed, and he snuggles with us.
Oh my God.
For like 10, 15 minutes. It depends on the day, because like if we don't have a lot of time, I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And actually, Eddard sometimes is too. Like depending on the day, he's like, guys, I ain't got time for this shit.
He's like, take me outside.
Yeah, we need to go on our walk. So then after Snuggles, we go on our walk, all 3 of us.
Nice.
And
so Jared wakes up after Snuggles.
Yep. Yeah.
That's so
typically.
cute.
Yeah. Typically, sometimes like when we were sick last week or 2 weeks ago, he was just having trouble sleeping, so he would just get up and and so we didn't get as many snuggles, which it's like you kind of need more when you're sick. Whatever. Anyway, so we'll do snuggles, we'll do a walk. Our walks are right around a mile, so they take like 25-30 minutes.
Nice.
Then we get back, and depending on if it's a hair wash day, because I only wash my hair like every 4 days.
Okay.
Depending on if it's a hair wash day, I'll either shower first, or Jared will shower, and then like I'll shower like my body afterward, and like get ready and everything for work. And I also, if it's like a home office day, I'll get a breakfast going, like baked oats or something like that, to put in the oven. And if it's not a work from home day, usually I've made like overnight oats the day before. And so I have my breakfast, and then I also have my coffee. I never drink coffee without having eaten something, because I used to do that and it killed my stomach.
It's so bad for you.
Yeah, it's also like bad for your cortisol levels.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that. I haven't eaten anything this morning. I'm drinking coffee.
Haven't?
Well, maybe I ate some
something.
pepperoni in the car.
Oh, nice.
Back on track.
Yep.
Coffee.
That's the end of my morning routine. Then I get started with work.
Nice. Well, when do you get ready?
That's what I was saying. So, like, on the shower thing. So, while Jared's showering, and I've totally forgot my games. So, while Jared showers, usually I'll do, like, the Wordle, the spelling bee.
The New York Times
Yeah,
games.
and I'll usually do that in combination with I'll eat my muscle recover pudding or whatever.
Nice.
It's just protein powder,
Yeah.
but I mix it with less water to make it more like pudding consistency.
Hey.
So I'll do that with my games. But then after he's done showering, then I'll shower my body, and that's when I get ready.
And you just kind of get ready for the day there.
Yeah.
Do you already have your outfits picked out, or do you pick out your outfits in the morning?
I usually pick them out in the morning.
Nice.
It doesn't take... I probably have 20 work outfits on rotation.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it is like... It's not something that's that hard for me to pick out.
That's good. It doesn't give you decision fatigue.
Yeah. If I have to wake up really, really early, then I will do as much the day before as I possibly can. And that's when I condense my morning routine as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I will cut out certain things.
Makes sense. Yeah. So what are those non-negotiables that you're talking about? The ones that are in every morning routine for you?
Yeah. So no matter what, I do some sort of physical activity. So like today is a Saturday. I didn't work out today or do any specific workout program or anything, but I did take Edward on a walk. So I will do one or the other, no matter what, some sort of physical activity. I'll do either our walk, which usually I will prioritize that if I don't have time for both.
Yeah.
I'll prioritize that because it also gives me time with my boys.
Yeah.
But if...
I also feel like Edward can't go without it.
It's true.
He knows. He's
It's
like, get me
true.
out of this house.
But, like, if I have to leave for work at, like, 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to do a 5 a.m. walk.
Yeah. So, and Jared's for sure not going to either.
Yeah.
So then I'll do my workout, and then Jared will take Edward on a walk separately once I've left. But, yeah. So I'll do some sort of physical activity is now a non-negotiable for me.
Okay.
Some sort of breakfast. I don't ever cut breakfast. So
That used to be a huge thing for you, right? You would cut out breakfast a lot, or just be like, I just don't have time. Or
yeah.
I feel like that's a huge thing that a lot of people do. You cut out breakfast, not really realizing how important it is.
Yeah, well, and it's crazy because you probably don't feel like you're that hungry, but then you don't realize until later when you're really hangry that, like, you don't realize it in the moment of the morning because you're busy and you've got so much stuff to do. And
Yeah.
like, if I sit down in front of my computer in the morning before I've started my breakfast, that's why I said if it's a home office day, I'll put something in the oven because then, like, 30 minutes later when it beeps, I'm like, oh, yeah, because I'm already in the zone of answering emails, getting stuff done, whatever. And by the time that I might realize that I'm hungry, it might be lunch, and then I'm starving, and then I binge way too much food. Like, I just eat way too much. And and I don't know, the things that I crave when I'm in that state of hunger are different than the things that I crave when I'm in a steady state of
Nutrition and eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have like a morning, I guess every habit is or everything you do is a habit, which I think is crazy. Like, whatever your mornings look like, that is your technical routine, even if you're not saying like, oh, this is my morning routine. It is. Like, you just don't realize that. But I have kind of like everything I do in the mornings, and I don't eat breakfast until probably like, I don't know. I don't eat it until I get to work because my job's a lot more relaxed. And so I used to not eat my breakfast until like 9:30 because I'd be like, I'm just not hungry. I've never been someone who's hungry in the mornings.
Yeah.
But then I realized that every morning I was eating breakfast, and I'd eat it earlier and earlier and earlier because I was like, okay, like my tummy's ready for it. I'm ready for it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I noticed like the past 2 months, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like starving. I'm like, give me that breakfast because now my body's used to getting like that fuel first thing in the mornings.
Yeah.
And I just think that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, gosh, now I'm so starving in the mornings because I started eating in the mornings.
Definitely.
Which is so good.
Yeah, I think I usually eat around like 9, but the times really change depending on if I'm working at home, if I, what time I have to be at something, if I do need to leave the house, so. But yeah, the non-negotiables for me really, I guess, are just like working out and eating. Obviously, my little games are not non-negotiables. I wouldn't even say, to be honest, that the personal development and gratitude are non-negotiables, because I will cut them. To me, getting my body moving and like blood flowing and having some sort of nutrition is more important to me.
Yeah.
Although if I can do it, I want to. Even if I can spend 5 minutes reading some sort of personal development or whatever. That's why You're a Badass Every Day, Jen Sincero, she writes You're a Badass with Money, all of that series. She has a You're a Badass Every Day. It's not a devotional. It's just like...
It's like a daily.
It's a daily,
kind of thing.
And I read it like 2 times through. I did this with Atomic Habits too. It was my personal development for 2 reads in the morning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So sometimes if I get done with a book, it takes me months because I only read it for 10 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
But so it takes me months to get through. But once I finish, if I'm like, that was really good part of my mornings, I'll go back to it. And so Jen Sincero's You're a Badass Every Day was my most recent one that I reread. And the reason that I loved it was because they were really short prompts. So on days where I had more time, I could maybe read like 2 or 3 of them. But I really liked it because on really short days, I could still get that little mindset boost, personal development, and it was just like 1 page or 2 pages.
Okay, yeah, I love that. So it kind of sounds like I was going to ask you what your favorite part of your morning routine is. I'm assuming it's the working out.
No, the reason that the workout is a non-negotiable is because I come out on the other side such a different like human being. I go into it, I know I said this on another episode, but I go into it before my brain is really fully awake. And I think that's the best thing for me, because by the time I'm halfway through the workout, I'm like, wow, I'm already halfway through and I was barely awake for that.
Yeah.
So when I get done with it, like just the blood flow and just the, I guess, dopamine or serotonin hit that I get or whatever, I just feel better. And so that then, like, if I'm in my full routine, when I go on my walk with the boys, I'm a way nicer wife and dog mom. So it's just, so I would say that that's why it's non-negotiable. But my favorite part of my morning routine is probably our walks.
Aw, good. I love that. I actually would have guessed that because you definitely talk about your walks the most. But that makes sense. Like, you're getting your time with your people and you're outside. You're getting that serotonin.
My second favorite is probably the muscle recover and playing my little games while I'm doing that. But I wouldn't say those are as much of non-negotiables.
Right, but it's a part that you really enjoy whenever it does happen for you in the mornings. I love that. Well, I only have a couple more questions for you.
Great.
What is a part of your routine that you just really, you're like, if you had to suggest one part of your routine that you think everyone should kind of introduce in their morning routine, what do you think that would be?
Okay, the first thing that I would say, because so many people tell me that they can't get up in the mornings and that their goal is to stop snoozing their alarm, and I know this doesn't work for you, but I started this however many years, 4 years ago or 5 years ago when I started working out in the mornings. One of the things that I did was plug my phone in across the room, and this is if you use your phone as an alarm clock. I do.
I would say most people do.
I think
it's got to be like 90% of people right now.
Yes. But whatever you use for your alarm, probably your phone, I plug it in across the room from me when I go to bed, and I set my alarm, and it just makes it so that when I get up, I'm way less likely to get back into bed because I'm already physically up. So I'm like, I used to listen to this podcast when she was a body coach at first too. It was Melanie Mitro, and I think the podcast was Women Inspiring Women.
Ooh.
But something she said when she started doing her morning routines, and she's so successful, it's insane. She's definitely making like 7 figures. She's awesome. But anyway, she said when she started, she was a mom, and I don't have that responsibility, but she would wake up before anybody could call on her for anything, And she said that one of the things when she would say when her feet hit the ground in the morning, she would tell herself, I'm more interested in getting better than I am staying the same, or something like that. It was some mantra that she told herself, and like every morning as soon as she would say, oh, I don't want to do this, oh, I don't want to work out, oh, I don't want to do my personal development, whatever, she would say, I desire more to change and get better than stay the same, or whatever. So honestly, I would say that first step is plug your freaking phone in across the room. And the second step is maybe have something like that, just that, like, if you can in the morning, kind of like our cue and response episode.
Ooh, yeah.
If you can in the morning, as soon as your feet hit the ground, have something in your brain that cues you to say, like, this is more important to me than sleeping in.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the, people will ask you, like, what's your reason for getting up in the morning? And most times you're like, oh, my husband or my dog. Like, you just say, like, why. Obviously, you wake up.
Why you like life.
Yeah. But I feel like a mantra like that is actually the why. Like, like, why are you getting up in the morning? Because I want to be better. Or why are you getting up in the morning? Because I need this alone time before my kids get up. Or, like, things like that. Why are you getting up in the morning? Mine would be if I did get up in the mornings, which maybe I will starting soon. But mine would be because I want to look good and feel good. Like, that would be a thing for me. So I really like that. Well, I know that we've really gone into all of that, and I feel like you've already kind of touched on this, but with your morning routine, how do you truly feel like it impacts your day and your mood? Like, if you were to miss it, like, what does this really do for you?
I think it just makes me friendlier, less on edge. I would say that mood-wise, it really just helps me be nicer, I feel like. To be on, like I said, like, I wouldn't have said I was a morning person, and I still, to my core, don't feel like I'm a morning person, because when I wake up, I'm cranky. And so what this does...
I feel like I have to interrupt. There's a fun fact about Morgan, and a fun, maybe it's just a joke we've had since your childhood, but we say that Morgan needs her 8 hours of sleep, and if she does not get it, she will be cranky.
Super
and she
true.
will not be happy with you. So you need to make sure she's sleeping.
It's super true. Well, like, earlier this week, we went to the Niall Horan concert.
Yeah.
And we got home, and I think we went to bed at 11:30. And you know what time I set my alarm for? 7:30, because 8 hours later, and that's way later than normal for me. Yep. And every once in a while, that's okay for me. And I did get up. I woke up at 7:30. I really kind of skimmed through my personal development. I did 30 minutes of my workout. We did take a 30-minute walk, and I was working from home that day. So usually I like to start work by 8 or 8:30, but I started a little later at like 9.
Yeah.
And that was totally okay with, I mean, we flex our time. It's not a big deal. But so if any of my coworkers are listening, I don't think they would judge me.
I don't think so either. I do like that you said that, though, that you got home at 11:30. You set your alarm for 7:30. It's later than, or 8:30?
7:30.
7:30. Okay, it's later than you would normally do, but I think that's so important about habits and routines, is that it's not going to stick if it's hurting you. Like, if you were to have gotten up at 6 or 5 or whatever, like, your day would have been awful. Even though you were following your routine, like, it would have been awful. You would have not felt good. It just would have all been off. So I love that routines are adjustable. Yeah. And that you adjust them for what your body needs in the moment. And then you still, like you said, you kind of have like 3 different routines depending on how your day's going, how your state of life you're in. So I think that's a really...
If it's Monday versus Saturday, you know, it totally is different.
Yeah. If you went to a Niall Horan concert versus if you got to go to bed at 8 p.m. like...
Exactly.
So different.
Okay, I never go to bed at 8 p.m.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes I wish I could.
No, I typically go to bed at 9:30 on the weekdays.
Oh, that's so different from 8 p.m. Sorry.
But yeah, so I feel like what it really does for me is it just makes me nicer, honestly. Like, I think that you can attest to this. I was not growing up like the nicest person when I woke up.
I can't attest. It wasn't that you weren't nice. You were just like... Shut up.
Well, and I just don't think, I think that I'm slow too. Like, I could not do, if I didn't wake up and do some of my morning routine today, I don't think I could have done this episode. Like, we're doing it a little bit earlier than we typically do. So I just think that it makes me more alert. It makes me more patient. It makes me just less of a grump all around.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like there's always the sayings and like, I don't know, funny things like that. Like on coffee mugs, it'll say, don't talk to me till after I've had my coffee. Or people are like, oh yeah, I need like a full 2 hours before I'm fully awake in the morning.
Yeah.
So I love that you're like getting that awake time before your day even starts.
Yeah.
It's gotta help so much. Like I strive to be a person who develops like a healthier morning routine. And I think truly I want it so bad. So it'll happen for me. I'll have to do it. I need this mantra that you were talking about. Like I need to start repeating something to myself in the mornings.
Yeah.
So I really love that because it just really starts your day off better because you basically have a day before you start your day.
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
I know that you and Mason work out in the evenings, which we are going to get to nighttime routines at some point because you're way better at those than I am. So I know you guys work out in the evenings, but if I were to tell someone like what changed everything for me and what I usually would recommend, like if you're trying to start any sort of morning routine and you just want to do one thing, I really genuinely would say some sort of physical activity. Workouts do so much with your brain chemistry that it makes you feel like you can do anything after.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and especially in the morning, that's probably the hardest thing that was on your checklist for the day.
Oh yeah, and it's done.
And you've already finished it.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, when I started, that was something that every time that I did that and I went into the day, I was like, I'm gonna fucking kick ass today. Like yeah. And so it just feels so good. So I know I've like hit that nail on no. What's it called? We never do this.
Hit the nail on the head.
No, I mean like beat the dead horse. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like not hit the nail on the head. That means I'm.
Oh yeah, that means you're like spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which maybe I am that too, but no, I just mean I know I keep reiterating that point, but that really is where it started with me, and it was the first time that I ever felt like I could be consistent with any sort of workout routine or whatever. And so even if you don't call yourself a morning person, maybe just try this. Honestly, I'll hold you accountable. Like if you need
text
it.
them.
Yeah, seriously. But so
I completely agree with you. Mason and I have been trying to do, I say trying, it's been like 3 times now, but we've been trying to do walks on Friday mornings because we know how important it is. We're both trying to be people who can get up easier.
Friday's your early day?
Friday, I get off early. I don't go into work early.
Oh, I thought it okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
I was like, what a weird day to start with.
No, but we've been trying to do it on Fridays so that way we just pump up our days, I feel like. And we were like, oh, Fridays seem like the best days to do it. I don't know why it worked out for us. But anytime we do get up and we do a little 30-minute walk in the morning, we'll do the first half without Waylon and then we'll take him for the second half because he's too old to go on a full 30 minutes with us.
Yeah.
And he needs the extra sleep. But it seriously pumps up our entire days. We have our best days whenever we do that. Like, we feel so productive. Mason's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm up and I've eaten breakfast and I've like taken my shower. And he goes into the office on Fridays now because he can. And
really?
He feels better about it. Or like he'll go to a coffee shop. And but like on a regular day, he wouldn't get up until maybe later in the morning.
Yeah.
And same for me. I just feel so much better and way more pumped up for the mornings once I can do some, like, I don't do a workout. I just do a little walk.
Yeah.
And I've loved it.
Just blood flow and especially the sunshine. Like if you can get the sunshine on your retinas, Jared always says, then I feel like it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I love all of that. Thanks for taking us through your full morning routine. I know I got several things from it. So I hope some other people did.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Of course.
Just pulling the curtain back on what my actual morning routine is. Because we reference it so much.
Yeah.
But it's like, what actually is it? Now you know.
Yeah, what is it? How'd you build it? What's important to you? I love that. And also I feel like if in their life, like working out is not something that's important to them, but like movement's always important. You should always be moving your body. You should always be getting your blood flowing and everything like that. But I feel like it could also be said that working out for you is so important because that's like your why, I feel like. Like that is the reason you're really making sure you're getting up in the mornings and like you know that that makes your day better. So if you are listening to this and you feel like workout's just not for me, especially like maybe you're not in that season of life, like whatever, you can find a different kind of thing that is so important to you and you know will set your day up better, like anything like that. I think finding one big thing that you kind of centered around and that is super important to you, I think that's a really great hack.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Thanks for joining us, guys. We are super excited. Next week, we're going to do a part 2 with the nightly routine.
With a night owl.
Yes. I'm more of a night owl. You're more of a morning bird. And I love that that's a huge difference between us.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we're so different when it comes to that. So, and I'm excited about that because you know that I've been trying to work on my nightly routine, and I can't wait to hear what things you have to share about it.
I know. I'm excited to talk about it. Well, I hope you guys join us next week.
Yeah.
Cheers.